Well, this is like the millionth time I've tried to record this. I've had nothing but issues, and always lovely when you've had a shitty day and you have nothing but issues recording this. I have contemplated just stopping. Who knows if this will ever get uploaded, because I would then have to edit it, and I've recorded a bunch of videos that I then didn't edit. So yeah, fun times. So I'm sorry. Let me get to the reason for this video. So I apologize if this is kind of bumpy. I can't get down on the floor to film today, and so I have like a table balanced on my bed, because that's where I have the ability to film right now. So I'm sorry if it's all bouncy and awful. So let's get started. I went to see a rheumatologist today. I was surprised. I didn't have an appointment prior to this week. I've been trying to deal with stuff. I had seen this rheumatologist, or this office, not this particular rheumatologist, but I had seen a rheumatologist at this office before, and basically he was like, it's not a problem for rheumatology, you have thyroid problems, and therefore your increased ANA and all of this stuff is caused by your thyroid. And I was like, and basically was like, get out. I'm like, fine, whatever. I can't fight the system, whatever. And you know, other doctors are like, you need to see a rheumatologist. I'm like, I did. I saw one. He said it wasn't a rheumatology problem. So anyways, long story short, I messaged the office and was like, look, my primary care wants me to see a rheumatologist again. Can we, maybe set up an appointment? Like, do you feel like this is a fair assessment that I need to see one? And they're like, oh, we have one like today or tomorrow, which surprised me, because getting into any doctor in like a day around here is just impossible, and it should have been a red flag that I could have, but whatever. So I make the appointment and I go today. Mind you, like, because my sleep schedule has been so off, and I've been having so many issues with like pain and swelling and everything, like by the time I got to the appointment at like 1 p.m. I was just exhausted and didn't feel good, and I had been up since like 2 in the morning. I wasn't feeling good at that point. And I feel like it's almost better, like, okay, they can see me like when I'm not feeling well, as opposed to seeing me at my best. Like, okay, this will be fine, like whatever. And the doctor came in and was like, well, why are you here? And I'm like, oh, well, I'm having these issues. He's like, no, like, why are you here? We told you this isn't a rheumatology problem. Like, we saw you 8 months ago. We ran the tests. They were normal. You have thyroid problems. It's thyroid. And I'm like, well, like, the thyroid problems aren't, easy. Like, they're not a black and white kind of thing. He's like, it's black and white. You have Hashimoto's thyroiditis. That's news to me. I have Graves' disease. It was treated with radioactive iodine way back when I was like 13. So, like, it's not like an active Graves' disease, but you always are going to have like the markers in your blood and stuff, because you have this autoimmune disease. And he was like, no, it's not Graves' disease. This marker is high, so therefore it is Hashimoto's. Well, my endocrinologist hasn't mentioned any of this, and we'll get into the endocrinologist in a bit, but hasn't mentioned any of this, and I thought that it was a marker. It was like a marker of autoimmune thyroid problems, not necessarily Hashimoto's. And he's like, no, it's Hashimoto's. It does not mark for Graves' disease. Okay, well, besides that, like, my numbers are not normal. He's like, they're fine. Like, they're off, but you just need to adjust your dosage. I'm like, no, like, the TSH is high and the T3 and T4 are high, which doesn't make any sense. They should be opposite. And he's like, the TSH isn't that high. Well, one, it shouldn't be high at all if the T3 and T4 are high. But two, like, I had another test after the one that was done at this hospital system, and that was even higher. So, like, something's going on. And he's like, well, this is a problem for the endocrinologist. And I'm like, fair enough. Like, problem for the endocrinologist. What can you do for me? Anything. He's like, no, it's a thyroid problem. All of your stuff can be caused by thyroid. Okay, like, the skin sores and everything. He's like, well, did you go to a dermatologist? I'm like, yeah, they couldn't figure it out. Like, I've tried everything, and it basically got told that I'm doing it to myself, even though I'm not. And, he was like, well, it's not autoimmune. Okay, so it's not autoimmune. I'll just, leave. And he's like, we'll run some tests, but, like, they're all gonna come back normal. Which, to be fair, like, they were run 8 months ago. Odds are they'll come back normal. But he did run some blood work. And then, literally, as I'm walking out the door, like, he showed me the way out of the office. And as I'm walking out the door, he's like, oh, it might be fibromyalgia. So, like, talk to your doctors about that. Like, one, it's not really appropriate to be talking about, like, sensitive, like, topics, like your actual health topics in the hallway. Like, you should be talking to your patient in the room, because, like, I don't want everybody, well, I shouldn't say that. I'm posting to the internet. Like, everybody's gonna know my shit, whatever. But like, there are plenty of people out there who don't want everybody to know their personal information, and to just talk about it in a hallway is kind of like, But, I have no problem with getting a diagnosis of fibromyalgia if it means that we can actually treat something. Like, maybe it is, I don't know, but it was like, he was kind of like, oh, we don't deal with that either. It's purely if you have lupus here. Okay, well, one, there's other autoimmune diseases, and two, like, everybody doesn't treat fibromyalgia. Nobody treats it, so. One second. Sorry, I was starting to get a bit emotional. I am emotional, but I'm trying to not, like, cry or scream or whatever. So anyways, I left there, and it's just like, I didn't even go into this appointment feeling like, okay, this is going to be the answer. Like, I was like, there's probably not going to be an answer from this appointment. Like, I went in kind of expecting that. So to come out and just feel like crap about myself and feel like awful, it just didn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, it was purely the way that this doctor treated me. And I hate to admit this, because I swore I wasn't gonna cry. I hate to admit this because it's awful and it's so selfish, but I was just like, it'd be nice if I died now. Like, I don't want to live, because it's just, I'm living in pain and nobody cares, and I'm so, like, I can't do anything. Like, I hang out with friends even lately. It's just like, I can't even sit for long periods of time. So it's like, I have a couple of hours maybe with friends, and that's it. And then it's like, rush home and pay for it for 2 days. But I left there and I was like, you know, it'd be nice if I died. It'd be really nice. I think I'm a little too selfish to actually, I don't know if it's selfish is the right word, but I don't think I could actually kill myself, but I was like, God damn, it'd be nice if I died. Which is awful. Like, there's people who care about me, and if I killed myself or whatever, like, it would be so awful for them. And it was incredibly selfish of me to think that, but it's the reality. Is this doctor belittled me so much and made me feel so small and like I'm making up my problems. And I was like, I just don't want to be around anymore. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to deal with that. Like, I'm not going to kill myself, so nobody freak out. I couldn't do that to my family. I couldn't do that to my friends. Financially, it would be better for my family, but I think emotionally it would be hard. But it's just the case of I felt awful about myself when I left. Like, I was just, obviously I'm making all this up, and obviously, like, I don't deserve to live. I shouldn't be living. Nobody cares. Nobody who can help cares, I should say. And so I left, and I messaged my primary care. I first tried to call my primary care and he was out of the office. But then I messaged him. I was like, I want to stop all treatment. Like, everything. All my meds. I want to stop all my meds. I don't want to see any more doctors. I'm done. I can't do this any longer. I can't fight the system any longer. And he did get back to me and he was like, you know, I care. I hope you know that I care about you and that I'm not giving up on you. And like, he's great. Like, I don't want anybody to think that my primary care isn't great, because he is. But it's just like, I'm so sick of fighting the system, fighting to get any treatment, fighting to get, if I do get treatment, get it approved by the insurance company. I'm just so sick of fighting everything, taking all these meds with all these side effects, and then it's like, oh, well, that med has caused this issue, so now we have to take this meds, and it's like, okay, let's just go off the original med. But I'm just so very done. I'm gonna take a break for a second. So the other thing that's been going on is been having problems with my thyroid. Like I mentioned before, I have Graves' disease. It was treated around age 13. I had radioactive iodine twice. The first time it didn't kill off my thyroid and I still had an overactive thyroid, so they did it again and it worked that time. I've been on supplementation ever since. Like, we've had to vary my dosage over the years, but so I think I retained some thyroid function, just not enough to live off of. But I have thyroid issues. Like, I have Graves' disease. It's been like shown over and over again over the years that I have Graves' disease. lately my thyroid levels have been weird, and it's happened a few other times, but it's always been like, oh, there must have been a lab error or something. Like, this doesn't happen. The cause of it would be really, really rare. Like, don't worry about it, and like, we'll check it again in a month or so and it'll be back to like normal. Like, it's not necessarily like euthyroid, but it's like not weird results. So in the past I've always just been, oh, it's been lab error or whatever. And so when it happened again recently, I was like, oh, okay. The doctor was like, odds are it's lab error. I'm like, okay, like, we'll test it again. And we were going to test again in 2 weeks, and then I ended up in the ER because I was really, really swollen and in a lot of pain. And they retested my thyroid, and it came back like those same results. And so I contacted my endocrinologist and didn't hear anything back, and I didn't want to like bug the office. I understand that these doctors' offices are busy, like they have a lot of patients. It's summer, so doctors are going on vacations and stuff. So like, I get it, but where was I going? I get it, but at the same time, it's like, okay, it's been a week, it's been like a week and a half, like, what's going on? And so I ended up having the labs run at a different laboratory in the health system that my endocrinologist is at, just so that we could get another view of things. Like, okay, so is it a lab error? Because first time, one lab error, okay, it could very well be a lab error. One weird result, and it very well could be a lab error. 2 weird results, okay, it's less likely to be a lab error, but maybe the lab itself is having problems. Like, there's one other test that whenever other endocrine test, it's a prolactin. This lab has consistently screwed up. So who knows if that was ever actually elevated or not, because like, I ended up going through my results, and as I was going through my results, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Like not that things were off, the lab levels were off from normal, yeah, they were, but it literally, the lab test itself, like, they measure like the prolactin, but there's this other complex that's not biologically active called macroprolactin, and they measure that at the same time, and that is included in like the main prolactin value. So what they also do at the same time is they complex out that macroprolactin so that you can just get a reading of what the prolactin is, because you can have like just high macroprolactin and that actually doesn't cause any issues. So or to the best of my knowledge, doesn't cause any like major issues. So I was going through my lab results being like, okay, let me just like chart this all out and be like, where were my lab values and everything. And consistently, when they complexed out the macroprolactin, so they took out a portion of what they had measured, the reading got higher. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. You're taking something out, but let me like research how it's done. Like maybe there was some weird thing that it does increase it, like because of how it's read or whatever. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. The only thing that I could see that could possibly cause it while doing the lab test properly was if you have a really high reading. It can sometimes read like normal to low because it's something called like the hook effect. So it ends up like being more than that can be measured in that dilution level. So you like have to dilute it more. And so by taking out the macroprolactin, it is possible that the number would increase with this hook effect. But like, for one, me as a patient shouldn't be the one going, okay, like there's a problem here, like this value is bigger than this value. Is it an actual like measurement thing that is this hook effect, or is it we did the lab wrong? And at one point I caught this fairly soon after the labs were resulted, and they were able to redo them, and they still didn't make a whole lot of sense, but at least like I couldn't prove that they were wrong. It just like it changed the original value quite a bit, so it was just weird. But then to have this happen again, I was like, okay, well, this lab is not very good. Like, I think there's something wrong with this lab doing this. But anyways, the point I was trying to make before I went on this really long tangent about this lab was that I had high prolactin levels. Now, whether it's actually real or not, or like really, really high and it wasn't reading properly, or if it was just moderately high, I don't know at this point. Like, I really don't know. But anyways, so this lab had screwed stuff up before, and I had high prolactin, and I was like, I'm just gonna have my labs drawn at a different like health service. And so I drove an hour away and I had my labs drawn, and they came back, the thyroid came back the same, actually like slightly worse than before, but with the same weird pattern of increased TSH, increased T3, and increased T4, which shouldn't happen. Like, TSH and T3 and T4 are like opposite ends of the teeter-totter. Like, it's a feedback loop. So like when you have high T3 or T4, it tells your pituitary to stop producing TSH, to stop stimulating your thyroid. So your high levels of T3 and T4 should tell your pituitary to make less TSH, so your TSH should be low if your T3 and T4 are high, or vice versa. So to have all of them high is very, very weird. And this is the third test at 2 different labs that has come back this way. And I'm like, okay, so this is real. Like, it's actually happening. Like, it's not a lab error. And I contact my endocrinologist again, and I'm like, okay, look, like this came back elevated as well. I did it in your health system. Like, this is real. Like, this is actually happening. It's not a lab error. And I finally heard back 2 weeks after my initial, like, I went to the ER and this happened, whatever. 2 weeks after that, I finally hear back and said, I don't think this is happening. I think it's a lab error. And also, she literally said, because you look for zebras, not horses. Bitch, this is a fucking zebra. I'm sorry, we're looking at a striped animal. We're in Africa. Like, this is a zebra. I'm not looking for a goddamn horse, because there's the odds of 2 labs and the same lab being run 3 times at 2 different laboratory testing sites, all coming back wrong, are pretty low. I would say lower than having this pituitary issue that would cause these lab results. But obviously it's a lab error, and she knows that. Sorry, there's yet another thing that is part of this. So I also have a cyst or microadenoma on my pituitary, and I'm sure people are going like, cyst or microadenoma, how can it be both? Like, apparently, like, the signal intensity on an MRI between a pituitary cyst and a pituitary microadenoma are very similar. So half the time it's read as a possible microadenoma, and half the time it's read as a possible Rathke's cleft cyst. I know it's a cyst, but I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. It's like Rathke's cleft cyst. But anyways, so I have a known, like, structural issue with my pituitary. And then I have this weird test result. And I have other test results that are showing that I'm producing prolactin, which I shouldn't be. I'm not pregnant. Like, and so there's no reason I should be producing this high prolactin. Shoot, I'm gonna fill up another card. Wow, I'm talking a lot. Okay, 1 second. So I might have to rush this because I'm like already recorded like a half hour. But anyways, so I have this high prolactin levels sometimes, and then I have these weird TSH, T3, and T4 results. I did have like a thyroid paradoxic, something along those lines, run at the same time that came back quite high, but it has always, like since I was little, come back high. And they always said that it was a part of my Graves' disease. So I am still waiting for my endocrinologist to hear back from me. I am not holding my breath that it'll be anytime soon, because the last time I heard back from her was on Friday, to which she informed me that she thinks that the labs are wrong, and I informed her that that's highly unlikely, considering I also had labs at her office, which I'd already informed her office of, and she apparently didn't know about them. So anyways, so there's that. And then what was I gonna say? Oh, so I'm still waiting to hear back from her, but it had taken 2 weeks originally to hear back from her. It's unlikely that I will hear back anytime soon. And I feel like when you're dealing with health issues, you shouldn't have to wait 2 weeks to just get incomplete information from your doctor. At the same, like when I heard from the doctor's office on Friday, I was like, well, you know, I have this pituitary issues, so like she's not concerned about that. She's like, she didn't know about that. We literally talked about it in my last appointment. Like, it should be well documented across my notes. I understand doctors are super busy. There's lots of patients, like whatever. So like not remembering me, that doesn't bother me. But it is in my notes. Like, I know that we have talked about it multiple occasions because of this high prolactin and because of like headaches in the past and visual disturbance issues. Like, we have talked about this before. So it is in my notes. It is in my chart. And she just didn't look at the chart. So anyways, I informed them of this and I was like, so I already repeated the test. I'm not paying for another one because, mind you, I have to pay. It's not like these tests are free. I have to pay for them. Like, I have insurance, but it doesn't cover everything. So I have to pay for these tests, and to just keep running tests because she doesn't believe them, it's wasting my money. My very, very, very limited amount of money. I have run through all of my savings. I am now completely reliant on my parents, which I hate because they're getting to retirement age and I should be out on my own and I'm not, and it's awful, and I'm like a horrible mooch. And anyways, so like it's not like these lab tests are free, so to just keep doing them over and over and over expecting a different result is a bit ridiculous. And so I let her know that I'd had another one at their health system. It should have been sent to them. I was told by my primary care office that they had sent it over, so it wasn't a case of it didn't get sent to them. But anyways, so I have yet to hear back. I don't expect to hear back this week. This has been such a long video. So that's the whole thing with that, and the rheumatologist was like, talk to the endocrinologist, and the endocrinologist was like, I don't believe this is happening, so I'm not gonna do anything. The joys of the US healthcare system. Other countries often cite like, oh well, you know, the US healthcare system, like, they have so much more access and they don't have to do these long waits, and like, by being a private payer system and not a single, like a multi-payer system or whatever, like all these different insurance companies that compete against each other, like it makes it so that doctors are more likely to please their patients and more likely to be like see their patients in a reasonable time and all of this stuff. That is bull. Like, complete and total bull. Any sort of specialist that I need to see is at least a 6-month wait. Like, you don't get into a specialist quickly unless you're literally dying. Like, I mean literally. Like, you have cancer and it's spreading, you know, you are profusely bleeding and the ER won't treat you because the ER says, oh, we don't deal with gastrointestinal issues, so go to a gastroenterologist. As you are hemorrhaging blood out of your ass. But anyways, these other countries are like, well, you don't have the weights we do. We have the weights you do. Like, I don't know, like, for primary care around here, it's like a 6-month wait to get into a primary care. And maybe you get a new one out of school, like fresh out of medical school, and they're trying to establish their patient base, so maybe it's only a couple of months to get into them. But you do not get into doctors quickly, at least not around where I live. And so it is just a struggle and a fight to get any sort of care. And it's not like we have a lot of options here. If you live in a big city, if you live in like a place with lots and lots of, you know, like healthcare, like if you live near Mayo or something, you have, you know, you can pick who you see, and you know, if you don't get along with a doctor, you can find another doctor. That's not the case around me. That rheumatologist is the one rheumatologist at that health center that's near me. I tried to go to one, so my primary care is actually one city over, so about a hour away from me, because I couldn't get into one near me quickly when I needed to, and the current doctor at the time, like, was misdiagnosing me. Like, I ran on a broken ankle for several months because she refused to accept that I broke my ankle. Anyways, so long story short is I go to primary care like an hour away, and I tried to get into the rheumatologist in that healthcare system because they can easily, you know, contact my primary care. They had really good reviews, but they don't see anybody outside of their city. Like, if you don't live in that city, you can't be seen by them. So that left me with the one rheumatologist here. So it's not even like I can leave and go somewhere else, because there just isn't somewhere else, which is frustrating. I think there might be one at another healthcare system that is in the same city as me, but I had a hard time figuring out if they were still there. It looked like they had left. Before, there were 2 others in this healthcare system that I am currently in, and they left, so they're no longer there. It was who I originally wanted to get in to see because they had good reviews and I had good, seen good things about them, but they are no longer there. So it becomes this, okay, you have one option, and if you don't get along with that doctor, or if that doctor is awful, you're SOL. So for all those people who think the US healthcare system, as broken as it is, at least you get good care, it's not the truth. It really isn't. Which is sad. So I know this video has been super long and very rambly and not not good cinematography or anything along those lines, and just kind of me complaining, but I just need to get this all off my chest. I love my primary care. I'm very grateful. He was wonderful in responding to me when I was in that kind of crisis after leaving the rheumatologist. It's hard. He was on vacation last week, so it means that he has a lot to catch up to on this week. I do have an appointment with him later this week, so hopefully we can, talk more then and figuring out, oh my god, I didn't want to cry again. Figuring out, something to do, somehow to treat this pain and this swelling that nobody can figure out what the cause is. Maybe it's fibromyalgia or something. It's just I've never heard of it causing this kind of swelling over my lower back and thighs, to the point that I can't even stand properly, and sitting, I am gonna pay for sitting up for this video, and I'm even propped up for it. So that being said, I love my primary care. He's wonderful. He takes the time to research stuff. He takes the time to talk to me and listen to me, which is great. I just kind of wish he could do more, because other doctors don't, and other doctors just kind of send you packing and make you feel like you're crazy. And maybe I am crazy, I don't know. I'm so sorry, I didn't want to cry again. Oh my god. I'm so sorry. I don't want to stress anybody out with this video. I don't want my family to think I'm suicidal, because I've gotten past it. It was a brief moment of, I'm just so upset, and I was so down, and I wasn't actually going to do anything. It just was a thought, and I'm sorry that I had it. But I feel like it's really, really important to put this out there, that how you treat patients really matters. I know a lot of people, a lot of doctors kind of think bedside manner is whatever, you're there to treat the patient and not coddle them, but you don't know how much they've been going through. You don't know the behind the scenes where everybody is just pointing the finger at another specialty saying it's their problem, and the patient is the one that is left suffering. So you don't see that, and so it becomes a straw that breaks the camel's back issue, where it's not the one doctor who is just like, this isn't our issue and I don't know why you're here and you're wasting our time. It's that combined with everything else that it can really have a profound effect on how your patient is feeling, and could really negatively impact them. I was very close to going to the ER because I just wanted to die, and that scared me. I got past it, like, and I'm not saying that like people with suicidal thoughts can just get past it, because that's not what I'm saying. Like, I was lucky enough that I was, with the help of my primary care and like knowing my family and stuff like that, like I was able to just like eventually move past it and not feel like I wanted to die right then and there and not want to do anything else. But there are plenty of people who do not have that support system, who pushing those buttons, it could be the button to self-destruct, and it's not the physician's fault per se, but it's something that could have been avoided. So to any physicians, I doubt they'll see this, but to any physicians out there that may watch this, just realize that those little things, those offhand comments, those oh well, this isn't my specialty and why are you here, can really have a profound effect on how a patient is feeling mentally, and can really just push them over the edge, especially when you're dealing with chronic illness. To have issues all the time, it just kind of puts you on a like higher strung ladder to be in pain all the time and know you cannot get treatment for that. Like, this country no longer treats pain. And whether that's a good thing, because opioids like definitely have major issues associated with them, so it's good that they're not prescribing as many opioids, but it does just kind of, without a replacement for that, it just leaves people who are in a lot of pain SOL. So I think it's easy to forget that patients can get really, really depressed and everything because of that. And so comments that wouldn't normally bother them do, and comments that wouldn't normally push them past the edge do. So I think that's really important to keep in mind when dealing with patients. I apologize to anybody I lashed out to today or recently. I've just been really down, and so much for trying to get through this exit. Whatever. Okay. So I'm apologizing to anybody that I may have hurt lately. I try not to take it out on the people around me because it's not their fault. It's nobody's fault except maybe mine. I don't know. But I'm sorry if I did. I'm just having a hard time lately. And if you could bear with me, that would be great. Because it's just been hard. And it's been hard to not have a direction to know where we're gonna go with treatment, or if there's going to be any treatment. So thanks for watching. I'm amazed if you made it this far, because this is gonna be like an hour-long rant or whatever. Not a rant, but a heart-to-heart, I guess. I don't know. But just know that those with chronic illness or chronic pain around you might have a bit of a shorter fuse, easily, I don't want to say triggered, because that, I don't know, just kind of has this connotation these days, but little things can cause a much more profound effect. So just know that they are struggling. Thanks for watching.